1 in 3 Americans making over $80,000 a year still can't save a single dollar. Not because they don't earn enough, because nobody ever told them how. I'm Grace, and in the next 10 minutes, we're going to do 3 things. Look at what Americans are actually saving, with real data, not guesses. Figure out what your personal savings target should be, based on your income, and walk through a concrete plan to get there. No fluff. Let's get into it. Here's a number that should stop you cold. The average American personal savings rate right now sits at roughly 4 to 5% of income. That's according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis. 4 to 5%. And here's where it gets interesting. Bank of America's Institute analyzed actual spending data from millions of households in 2024. Among households earning under $50,000, about 35% are spending more than 95% of their income on necessities. But here's the part people don't expect. That number barely moves as income rises. Around 20% of households earning over $150,000 are still in the same boat. This tells us something important. More money doesn't automatically mean more saving. Spending has a way of expanding to fill whatever income is available. The technical term is lifestyle inflation. The practical term is just human nature. There's actually one natural experiment that proves this perfectly. In April 2020, the personal savings rate shot to 33.8%, an all-time record. Not because income spiked, because there was nowhere to spend. The moment restrictions lifted, the rate collapsed right back down. Here's the breakdown that actually matters. According to the Federal Reserve's 2022 Survey of Consumer Finances, the most comprehensive household data available, among families in the bottom 20% of income, only 30.9% saved any portion of their income in the past year. Move to the top 10% of earners, and that flips to 83.7%. The gap isn't just about how much they save, it's about whether they save at all. And for the bottom 90% of earners, net saving averages close to zero. This is why the wealth gap keeps widening, and it has very little to do with investment strategy. It starts with whether you save anything in the first place. So, what should you actually be saving? Here's a grounded framework. If you're earning under $60,000, aim for 10 to 15% of your take-home pay. Not gross, take-home. Between $60,000 and $120,000, push toward 15 to 20%. Above that, you have less excuse. 20 to 30% is the target. These aren't arbitrary numbers. They're benchmarks that reflect what it actually takes to build an emergency fund, retire on your own terms, and not be financially fragile when something goes wrong. Let's make this real. We'll walk through someone earning $60,000 a year and figure out exactly what the math looks like and where the money actually goes. $60,000 a year is $5,000 gross per month. In Texas, no state income tax, your federal taxes, Social Security, and Medicare take out roughly $930 a month. Before any benefits deductions, take-home is around $4,060. Add a typical employer health insurance contribution of around $200, and you're landing at approximately $3,860 a month in actual take-home. Now the fixed expenses: rent at $1,550, a car payment at $430, gas, utilities, that's already $2,400 gone. Groceries, coffee, gym, entertainment, eating out, add another $1,300. You're sitting at roughly $3,700 in total expenses. That leaves $160 on a good month. That's not a budgeting failure. That's what the math actually looks like for millions of Americans right now. Here's the single biggest lever in that budget: $600 a month on restaurants and takeout. That's not judgment, that's just the number. Over 20 years, at an 8% return, redirecting half of that adds up to roughly $175,000. The math doesn't lie. The fix isn't dramatic. Cut eating out from $600 to $300. Meal prep once a week. It takes 90 minutes and saves you money every single day. That one change alone frees up $300 a month. 3 moves. Reduce eating out by 300. Cut unused subscriptions. Bankrate found in 2024 that Americans average over $200 a month on subscription services, and most can't name half of them. Cancel what you haven't used in 30 days. That's another $50 to $75. Trim groceries by 75 with better planning. Those 3 changes alone move your savings rate from near zero to around 12%. You're now in the top half of American savers. Not from a raise, from awareness. Now let's talk about the expense category that quietly destroys more savings than almost anything else. Transportation, specifically car payments. The average new car loan in 2024 crossed $700 a month, according to Experian. In our example budget, the car payment is $430, actually below average. Here's what most people miss. A car loses value the moment it leaves the lot. You're making payments on a shrinking asset. If you swap a $430 payment for a reliable used car at under $200 a month, that $230 difference invested over a decade becomes over $40,000. Reliable transportation does not require a new car. It requires a decision. Here's the single most effective behavioral change in personal finance. Pay yourself first. Set up an automatic transfer to savings the same day your paycheck arrives. If the money never hits your checking account, you can't spend it. Start with $50 if that's all you can do. The habit matters more than the amount, at first. Automate it. Don't rely on willpower. The research is clear. People who automate savings save significantly more than those who try to do it manually at month's end. Set it up once, forget it's there, and let the habit compound. Before you invest $1, you need an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses. For our $60,000 example, that's roughly $11,000 to $22,000. Keep it in a high-yield savings account, not a regular one. Right now, high-yield accounts are paying 4 to 5% annually. A regular savings account at most banks pays almost nothing. That gap is real money. Once your emergency fund is fully built, flip the script. Redirect the full savings amount into investments. Until then, liquidity is the priority. Saving money is only half the equation. Keeping all your savings in cash is a slow, guaranteed loss. Inflation erodes purchasing power every year. A diversified index fund tracking the total stock market has averaged around 10% annualized over the long term. $200 a month invested for 30 years at 8% grows to nearly $300,000. That's not a strategy for the wealthy. That's compound interest doing what it always does for anyone who starts. Time is the most powerful variable in this entire equation. A 25-year-old who invests $100 a month will have more money at retirement than a 40-year-old investing $300 a month, assuming the same returns. Not slightly more, significantly more. Starting matters more than amount. One more piece of the framework. If you're carrying high-interest debt, credit cards, buy now, pay later, pay that off before you invest. A credit card at 22% interest is a guaranteed 22% drain on your wealth. The stock market averages 8 to 10% historically. There's no investment that reliably beats 22% after tax. Clear the debt, then invest, in that order. Financial peace isn't about having the highest income on the block. It's about the gap between what you earn and what you spend, and whether you're deliberately widening it. 3 things to take away. 1. Know your actual savings rate. Tally your take-home pay and your total expenses. Most people have never done this. 2. Automate before you spend. Pay yourself first, every pay period before anything else hits your account. 3. Sequence it right. High-interest debt first, then emergency fund, then your employer match, then invest. That's the entire framework. What's the one expense you already know you're going to cut after watching this? Drop it below. I'm genuinely curious what the most common answer is. If this helped, a like goes a long way. And we'll see you in the next one.